Alright, we are so back. I know I've been putting this off for like a long time, so yeah. Vivid Stasis Chapter 3 summary analysis, whatever you want to call it. This is an absolute nightmare to be honest, but you know, I'm doing it anyways. I also currently have COVID, I mentioned that last time, so yeah. So I might sound different and it might sound a little bit jumbled, and yeah, you're just gonna have to deal with that. Anyways, before I talk about this, I have to speak to the members of the staff server of the Vivid Stasis community. You guys had a lot to say about my last video, and I fumbled pretty hard, and I do want to respond to it and stuff, but not in the intro. If you want, you can just skip to whatever timestamp I like put on screen real quick. It'll be like my response apology. I don't know how to put it, but it's important. It'll be affecting my content and also how I am, so yeah. But I will say this, one of you guys said I didn't deserve my one finger death punch footage, whatever that means, so I hope you guys enjoy Skibbity RNG on Roblox instead. Anyways, on to the story. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright, let's start from where we left off. Episode 16. Everyone's going to Tokyo. Yep, that's right. Anyways, they're gonna investigate this, so yeah, that's cool. They're also given burner phones, so they can talk without giving away their information to anyone who like taps their phone, I guess, so yeah, that's cool. Anyways, oh yeah, you remember Dawn? I don't know if you remember Dawn. I don't remember Dawn. We see them playing Vivid Stasis, so that's cool. And she's trying to spy more on Saturday, so yeah, honestly, it's nothing really important, but she mentions like this world keeper and stuff again, and how she's like wary of her while spying on Saturday. And then there's like this whole dark part that references like a bunch of stuff that won't make sense at all, like cycles, and don't worry about it. Honestly, the only important part is when they say something about telling the truth about the Vivid Stasis operation. Oh my god, it's the name again. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, episode 17. Everyone arrives in Tokyo. Saturday has this whole, oh my god, I love Allison so much. And then, you know, it goes on for a bit. Whatever. Anyways, they meet Shio, who's gonna let them stay in their apartment. Yeah, remember her? Well, yeah. So they're gonna stay in her apartment, and she mentions something about not having a car, and that's somewhat important, I guess. So yeah. Anyways, they go into her apartment and get settled, and you know, nothing really happens. But I guess Saturday remarks that she's like, oh, I've been wanting to go to Tokyo for so long, but then she's like, oh, wait a minute, didn't I live in Tokyo? And then the episode ends. It's another one of those like, the memories are getting jumbled. Ooh. Episode 18, everyone is like going on their own, they're all exploring Tokyo. Kotomi like grinds out a game on a Wii console, I guess, and then buys it. Saturday is like grinding out like Sound Voltex Exceed Gear or something, I don't know, and plays like Tekken 8. And Allison is talking about how Saturday is like trans and she's like asexual, and then she's like, you know, she's talked about how like she thinks sex is gross, I guess, and you know, but she doesn't really say that, so it's, I don't know, I found it kind of like, I don't know, she like kind of beats her on the bush, so it's like, Allison, what you mean by that? What is it? You mind explaining what it is? Is it so? Is this sex? Anyways, yeah, so she talks about how we should all love each other and everyone has their differences, so you know, that's pretty wholesome. This is more of just a filler episode to humanize characters and get to explore them a little more, and it doesn't really mean all too much, but it still develops the characters, and you know, it is important when it comes to making a character, you know, relatable and things like that, and it's also, you know, just nice to have a break from a ton of lore, and I will admit, man, I do really miss these kinds of breaks. Alright, episode 19 is a bit of a fever dream. Dawn and the World Keeper, who is revealed to be Suki, oh my goodness. Yeah, but her code name is the World Keeper, as we know. They kind of just argue in this like little area outside of the thing in Dawn's room. They're basically yin and yang and complete opposites, but they kind of need each other to work, you know, that kind of concept. And Dawn also talks about how Suki and her were good friends in the past, and then she mysteriously died in 2010. You know, that's pretty important, keep that in mind. But you know, why is she alive? I don't know. And then yeah, honestly, that's a later thing. And then there's a flashback, and then it just gets super weird. Dawn is like talking about how her she was like childhood friends with Suki, and then like I like am just here. Just I'll read it. Is what I would be saying if I didn't decide to simplify this really quick. Instead of reading it, I'm just going to tell you the basics. Basically, what's going on is that you are talking or you're listening to a orb. It's called the important object, sorry, and it's basically telling you that it is the viewer of everything. It can't actually interact with anything, but it is basically everything. It's where everything kind of stemmed from, I believe. I don't really know, but you learn a lot more about this orb later on, but just keep it in mind. In general, it's just kind of there. But basically it talks about how, like, you know, everything is all the same, things like that, blah blah blah, but really all that matters is that, you know, it's kind of just sitting there and is only able to view things, and it will be important later, so yeah, keep that in mind. Anyways, you unlock something called Between Space, or the Between Space, I should say. I don't know why I just said Between Space. It's pretty important, like actually super duper important, but it is extremely complicated in what it brings up. And it was, whatever, I'll explain it later. It's really important though, so just remember that. We'll talk about it later. What is important is this orb, sorry, not orb, important object, as my good friend Narudak says. I don't know, he was very adamant on it being called the important object. It's basically Saturday, like, it explains that Saturday, Dawn, and Suki are all part of, like, the same entity. I don't really know how to explain it, but they're all, like, kind of a conglomerate, I guess you should say. Like, they're all the same. They all kind of come from the same tree. I don't, you get what I'm saying. They're all kind of the same person. Alright, episode 20. This one's really short. All that honestly matters is that Saturday gets a text from the burner phone that they were given, like, you remember that? Yeah, all that time ago. It's basically hexadecimal, blah, blah, blah. They just know that they're supposed to be at a certain location at a certain time, and episode 21, we'll talk about that. Okay, episode 21. This one is insanely long. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, but there's just a lot going on in this, so yeah. Anyways, the squad goes to this giant building, you know, it's the Sunrise Foundation building, yippee-dee-dee. Nobody else but them can see it, so that's cool. Dawn shows up and tells them, like, oh, hi guys, I'm gonna help you guys out, and she goes under the name Kisho Biori, so yeah, but that's not a real name. She tells them that she's gonna, like, tell them the truth and all that, and so they just follow her inside, and Kachomi stays outside. Alright, so the group goes into, like, this elevator, and Dawn begins to just talk a bunch. She talks about this Duskbreaker project, and then, like, Saturday's like, oh, my head, but nobody knows what it is. Dawn explains it as basically the Matrix. It's a simulated reality thing, and it's the true purpose of the Sunrise Foundation. Dawn then explains it's important to Suki's disappearance and everything else around her and all. It's like the catalyst, you could say. Dawn also reveals that Chiyo and herself are lead engineers. Dawn isn't actually lead engineer, but the person she's pretending Kisho Biori actually was. But, you know, you get what I'm saying. Chiyo doesn't remember this at all, but, you know, whatever. And then Dawn's like, oh, but you do remember because he had memories from the atrium, the atrium going, remember that all that time ago? And then Ari's like, hey, how did you know about that? We didn't tell anybody about that. Nobody knew about that. And then Chiyo's like, hey, wait a minute, Dawn, you're, no, sorry, Kisho Biori, you're not Kisho Biori. That's someone different. And then Dawn's like, okay, yeah, I'm not Kisho Biori, I'm Dawn. Nice to meet you. And then she's like, oh yeah, this also happens like every other time. Whatever that means, that's important for later. Anyways, they eventually finally reach the top floor, which is the president's office. It's revealed that, drumroll please, the president is Setsuki Tasogare, Saturday's dad. And Saturday's like, what? Oh my god. And then, anyways, and Saturday's also like, oh yeah, what's going on with all these conflicting memory things? You know, I'm like, I thought I was never in Tokyo, and I'm in Tokyo at the same time. Like, what? And then Dawn's like, honestly, I can't really tell you that yet. You know, confidential information. And then Allison's like, I'm so sick of you guys. I'm so sick of you, Dawn. And she's like, I want more answers. And then Ari's like, okay, I got this. Let me just interrogate, I guess. And so she bluntly asks, are they in the simulated world of the Duskbreaker? And Dawn answers by saying, yeah, basically. And then Ari points a gun at Dawn, I guess, and just is like, okay, you're gonna answer more questions. And then Ari's like, alright, sure. And then Ari asks this, if Dawn is from like another world, because it lines up with something that has to do with these meta layer concepts. Metaverse? Oh my god, Mark Zuckerberg would be so proud. And it's from this book that she read in Suki's room, like all the way back in chapter 1, so yeah. Anyways, Dawn basically confirms, yeah, basically, yeah, I'm from another world. And then Dawn, I guess, presses a button on Setsuki's desk and opens a secret elevator. Just behind a bookcase, oh my god. Anyways, Chiyo just drops the ball as well, and while Saturday is wondering why is this happening, Chiyo just said, oh, I remember, you got traumatized and then they made this Duskbreaker to heal people with mental health issues. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I think they might have made it for you, but I can't really, well, whatever. And then Saturday and Allison just go into the elevator. Alright, a lot of information for episode 21, so let's just recap the simple things. Reality is fake and is all a simulated world. There's a Duskbreaker project that made the said fake reality to help people with mental health issues, and hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Saturday has like trauma. Dawn is from another world, and Saturday is at the center of all this. It's a lot to take in, and I think I mostly understand it because I've had to read this script so many times, but even then I don't fully understand everything because there's more to come. Alright, back to getting you all confused and stuff. So Dawn, okay, episode 21.1 starts with Dawn breaking out of something called a stasis on November 20th, 2022, and here's a, quote, chime, no clue what it is. She tried to, quote, thwart a cycle lock, which is, you know, you remember the thing where it's like, I'd get really pissed whenever it come up. yeah, you know, it's oh yeah, there's the one in chapter 1 where you almost die in a fire. I forgot how that song went. You know, but basically what that is caused by the Duskbreaker or the World Keeper trying to prevent progress from something, and it's revealed that she basically just freezes time and is like, I'm gonna save you. And also it's currently the 8,266 cycle, whatever that means. I'll explain later, but it should be it might be a little obvious. Anyways, so talking about, you know, I was mentioning cycle locks. Well, there's actually another one, but it's not really a cycle lock, but we gotta fix it basically. But this one is not like the others where you have to like just complete songs with a certain criteria. That's kind of sucked. This is more fun. Now we get to talk about the between space that I mentioned, like, what, I don't remember, like episode 19, I think. Yeah, that. So yeah. Alright, the between space is like a little game mode where you wander around collecting gems and unlocking notes and lore and blah 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 blah. It basically just gives you a better insight to like the events prior to like where the game's taking place. Now these notes aren't in like perfect chronological order. I mean, they hold some back to have bigger impact later and stuff, like, you know, have mysteries and all that stuff. However, I did a good job for humanity here and just put them all in chronological order for you guys because it's confusing. So yeah, I arranged them all. So here, let's just start. So, you know, just note that these aren't in chronological order. So some are just like really random important pieces of information like super early on. It's probably because of that. Anyways, I will start from the top and move my way down. I have this giant Google Doc. So yeah, here, let's get into this. On October 20th, 2018, Duskbreaker 001, the Duskbreaker project is started, and Satsuki's like, oh, you know, this is going to help people through trauma, blah, blah, blah. It's going to analyze brainwaves and stuff and modify brainwaves, I guess. And then on February 3rd, 2019, Duskbreaker 043, Duskbreaker has a roadblock. It's having issues with, like, accuracy, I guess. And then Duskbreaker 048 there's no real date for this one, but, you know, I'm assuming it's not too long after 043. Satsuki is like enlightened and says that he understands everything after seeing this quote fourth dimension, and mentions that it's also what she needs. I wonder who she is. April 2nd, 2019, meta layer 001 concept. Satsuki tries to understand the meta layers. I mentioned them earlier. It's basically like its dimensions, and each universe exists within a layer, and we can look down into other world layers and see them as fiction. These people, the game, the actual people in the game, like Satsuki, Saturday, everyone, everything, they're all on the third layer, and we, the real humans, me, you, friggin', I don't know, Cheryl, we're all on the fourth, and we see these people as fiction. So you kind of get what I'm saying, like, yeah, you get what I'm saying. It's a little confusing, and also there are infinite layers upwards, so, you know, there's probably someone else up there looking at me like, oh, bro, this is a crazy character, you know. So, yeah, it's confusing, but you kind of get the idea. You don't really need to fully grasp a lot of these concepts, because there's going to be a ton of them. Okay, on April 2nd, 2019, again, Duskbreaker 061 sim layer, whatever, it's sim lay, but it stands short for sim layer. Simulated layer. Satsuki begins working on meta layer simulation, which are simulated worlds, and the Duskbreaker is going to rely on these. Satsuki has to simulate one because it's not possible to like make one, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, he says that maybe he can like manipulate brain waves or something, and they can make the Duskbreaker work, because it's like, then it will be like, oh, it's a meta layer, you're right, bro, or something. I don't really know. Anyways, April 19th, 2019, Duskbreaker 059 editor, I guess, or something. Engineers basically work on something called error detection and error protection modules. These modules will basically prevent anything from going wrong if an error arises during use of the Duskbreaker, and this makes the chances of something going wrong be much lower. December 10th, 2020, Duskbreaker 110 test RN. In under 2 weeks, the first test run of the Duskbreaker will be carried out in the 4th atrium. Oh my god, remember the 4th atrium, dude? Oh my god! Anyways, Satsuki mentions that he's ready to put everything behind that started, quote, a decade ago. Oh, I wonder what happened. It's 2020. What was a decade ago? 2010? Oh, I think someone died then, but I can't really remember. Anyways, December 23rd, 2020, Duskbreaker 116, Severance. I think it's, yeah, it's Severance, but whatever. Satsuki writes, right before entering the 4th atrium to do the whole Duskbreaker test run, he started this all, you know, to help her, you know, and all that stuff. And you know, everyone's like, oh, what are we gonna use as the first subject? And Satsuki's like, yeah, we did this to help her, and we gotta heal her. I wonder who her is, bro. You know, and he's like, oh man, you know, this girl, she was traumatized by her sister dying a decade ago. It's Saturday, by the way. It's Saturday. Oh, I also forgot to mention that Saturday is obviously the first test subject of the Duskbreaker, which is the only time, by the way, that Saturday's dad says Saturday's name at all. It's weird. Dude, I guess, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like how it sounds. Anyways, April 5th, 2021, it's TVO Start P, whatever this is. Now it's saying that this is like in the layer 4 timescale, so I don't know what that means. I think they might be like in a layer up, I don't really know. Setsuki is working on something called the TVO, whatever that means. So yeah, now I put TVO client here, which explains what it is to make it kind of have so you can kind of understand what it is more. I don't know where it actually is in the timeline anyways, so yeah. TVO client is basically Setsuki talking about how he made Vivid Stasis, which is a data generation client. It's going to collect natural meta layer data, and it's a rhythm game, so oh my god, Vivid Stasis we're collecting data for Setsuki, dude. Isn't that crazy? Well, anyways, January 13, 2022, Sunset arrived. Now we're going to be focusing on completely different people. Yeah, that's right. Eri and Kotomi, I guess, wake up outside the Tanegashima precinct, whatever. Oh, precinct, yes. Whatever. And they just sort of appeared there and have no memories of being there. So we're going to swap back and forth between the two, I think. So, yeah. Anyways, on January 22nd, 2022, Sunset Memories, Eri is like, I don't remember being a detective, but people say I was. That's so weird, but at least we were real people at some point, and we just lost our memories, I guess. Anyways, March 19th, 2022, we have the note TVO Demo, which is, again, in layer 4 timescale. Setsuki was able to send, quote, a version of the data generation client up to the 4th dimension. It's a primitive version, but it's something. Managed to make a connection with, someone in the 4th dimension who's helping release the program. Oh, by the way, I actually didn't research this. I bet the game came out on this date. Hold up. March 19th, isn't it? Let me see. It was March 19th, isn't it? Oh, it was March 7th. Okay, never mind. Well, I guess he just sent it a little late or something. I don't know. It only just hit me that I actually didn't explain what cycles were, so I'm just going to shift the whole part about cycles at the end of this into here. So yeah, just enjoy that. Now we're on cycle 16. So cycles are, I'm just gonna explain it now. I think that actually this talks about it a little later, but cycles are like the game we're playing has happened many times in the past. Think about it like an infinite loop, right? Think about it like Hedgehog Day. It didn't occur to me that I said Hedgehog Day. That is very embarrassing. Oh my god. Every time Saturday dies, the loop resets, I think, or something like that. So anyways, this cycle has happened 16 times by this point. So you kind of get the idea, right? I hope you do. Anyways, and we're on cycle 8,266 or something. Yeah. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Anyways, cycle defined. It mentions cycles. It's currently cycle 16, and it talks about the narrative and something called Lock S, and the story, quote, never seems to change like cycle 8, whatever it's talking about. And then cycle 33, cycle iteration type. Two properties that largely drive the cycles. This is very important. Iteration type and cycle lock. Iteration type seems to correspond to the answers that the protagonist gives at the beginning of every cycle, it says. I don't know what that really means either. It's just kind of like, I don't know. But basically, it changes slightly every time for whatever reason, and there are 4 iteration types. Sympathy, empathy, apathy, and antipathy. And each cause slight iterations of the story, and there are examples like apathy makes Chio drive to the shrine and stuff like that instead of just using public transport or something, or just having Eri drive. I forgot, it's been a while. And sympathy cycles, she doesn't have a license and likes public transport, things like that. And cycle locks, well, you already know what those are, so yeah. So somewhere between March 2022 and 2023, I know a huge gap, he works on something called TVO Schrodinger cycle, and he basically talks about he's making a timeline out of bullet points of the quote story, or the general story, I guess, that made it to Lock S. I have no clue what this means still, but yeah, it's called the Schrodinger cycle and will be sent up to the 4th dimension. March 30th, 2022, Sunset Ranch. By the way, I have the Schrodinger cycle thing here just for the sake of your sanity. I don't know where it is, honestly. It's kind of weird to place it, but it doesn't really matter. Sorry. Anyways, back to Sunset Ranch. Kotomi comes back completely covered in ranch, and she's like, oh, I'm scared. Or she's scarred for life. And Eri's like, what happened? And Kotomi's freaking 1,000 yards staring her. And then Eri's like, I don't know if being around this Saturday person's a good idea. Saturday mention, look at that. Anyways. July 23rd, 2022, Sunset Report. Eri talks about how Saturday came in. It's everything on the first episode, if you remember that. Saturday's like, I'm gonna find Suki before you guys, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, July 25th, 2022, Sunset Kanshi. Saturday went to the ferry terminal, blah blah blah, and areas like the museum, remember that, and she found the book about world layers in Suki's drawer, and then she, she's like questioning all that stuff. You remember this, it's back in episode whatever, it was like 6 or 5. Anyways, she talks about someone named Kanshi and asks about her and stuff, I guess, and then the fire happens and all that sort of stuff. March 8th, 2023, my birthday. TVO release, Setsuki sends part of the Schrödinger cycle to layer 4, covers, quote, everything from the disappearance of Suki to a bit after whatever Lock P is. First chapter of the game, by the way, basically, I'm pretty sure, actually, but I'm not really sure at the same time, I think. I don't know, it's weird. The data Setsuki also got from it was also only useful to supply updates to the data generation client, or Vivid Stasis. Hopefully with the full release, more people will have access to it, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're just being meta about their game's release or something, but I still haven't really come up with anything for this. That is everything for the Between Space. I know, it's quite a lot, and I kind of rambled, sorry. Anyways, so after you do all the Between Space stuff, you basically, like, get a little, like, gem thing, or like a little, it's like half a coin. I don't know how to explain it. It's like this little thing, and you have to get the other half now. So basically you just do a bunch of other stuff, and you do like a cool mod chart, which is pretty fun. And anyways, you get to meet the important object, my bad, sorry, from the one back then, remember that? Well, yeah, you talk for a bit, and I will just simplify this whole conversation because it is a lot. Alright, they start calling you a miracle, I guess, for just doing everything. Putting this medallion thing together and all that stuff. This important object also tells you her name. Oh my god, it's Saturday, codename the Storyteller. They're currently talking to you from the 3rd meta layer, and if you remember, we are on the 4th, and it's very hard for us to talk down to them, so we can't talk back. They also tell us that we've made it through the Schrödinger cycle, or in other words, everything beyond this point is fresh. And she also assumes you're having a hard time understanding this all, which, yeah, who would have guessed? You basically just info dump me. So yeah. Anyways, TVO also stands for Vivid Stasis Operation. I have no clue where the T comes from, but whatever. Anyways, it's nice to know that. And we're also going to break past the cycles with the power of Vivid Shape. Anyways, Saturday leaves, and it's like miracle time. Let's go. And Dawn wakes up. If you remember all that stuff, like she had like the stasis thing, and she's like, "Whoa, we never made it this far." Anyways, we gotta make a miracle, and oh my god, another one. Alright, anyways, so we're back in the Between Space sort of area, and then I just looked up the answers for the puzzle. I cannot, dude. I swear to god. My brain's built for puzzles like not just a bunch of like logic math puzzles. Those are just kind of boring for me. Anyways, Dawn calls this, I guess, like we're in somewhere new, and it's like this like fact, you can kind of see it. And Dawn calls this event like the severance of emotion, and now we get to look into the Duskbreaker like birth. Let me summarize it. Setsuki, Chiyo, and Kisho Biori, remember Kisho Biori still face us, by the way, are ready to start the Duskbreaker with Saturday in it, and then, oh no, it goes wrong. Let me add the live leak sticker here real quick. Anyways, Chiyo says that the Duskbreaker is, quote, cutting her entire ego and mem files and moving them to the simulated layer, which basically means Saturday is literally just, her brain is being moved over to the simulated meta layer. And then the Storyteller is like, this is how all 4 of us were born, in reference to Saturday, the Storyteller, Suki, and Dawn. So yeah. Oh, but I'm not done yet. There's even more. The Storyteller basically, okay, it basically just more info dumping. The Storyteller is basically Saturday, or the closest thing you get to like Saturday pre-Duskbreaker. Do the Dusk Shaker. The World Keeper and the Liberator, Suki and Dawn, are just opposites against each other and are alive and not alive at the same time, which basically means they're like living concepts, but you know, like a concept isn't alive, and you kind of get where it's going with that. It's a little weird, but they're kind of just stuck in this like space between they're like both they're like things that are not supposed to be alive that are alive, but again at the same, yeah, whatever. Anyways, I guess the World Keeper, like whatever, there's like this weird like mythology story where like the World Keeper entered their, quote, phase 2 before the Liberator, and then I guess just like neuralized the Liberator or something to make the Liberator forget their purpose. And then there's also like, you know the Saturday that we've gotten used to seeing a bunch, the one that's stuck in this perfect world, well, perfect-ish world. Well, yeah, there's like, she's there, that I guess she's born. She's basically just the sim layer one. You remember how they moved everything over? Well, that's kind of what it is. That's who she is. And then there's this metaphor for it all being a play and whatever. And oh, nice, another mod chart. This one's funny because actually it does matter a lot about what it said. Well, not matter. It's kind of cool. Here, you can see what it does. Huh? Wait, what? How? You're not? I don't understand it myself, but don't you realize the chance we've been given? Impossible. A miracle cannot save us, no matter how hard you hope. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's been 8,266 cycles and you still cling to this foolish hope. Look around you, Suki. Eternity doesn't matter when you have an impossible chance given to you. Time and time again, we've looped this story, and finally a split second of path. Are you going to waste the one escape rope you've ever been given since the moment you were born? Oh shoot, okay. Because I'm sure as hell not. Alright. Wait, no! Wrong keys! Anyways, yeah, this one's cool, so I thought it was pretty fun. Anyways, when it finishes, there's another cutscene, and it's a lot of reading, and honestly, I don't know how much of it really matters, but basically it's like, ho ho ho, this is gonna keep going, and it's gonna be fun! Yippee! And then all parts of Saturday are just gonna be in this play now, or whatever that means, and we are finally back to Saturday and Allison, who have been just crying for like an hour or something and hugging because, you know, the reality is fake and they've been hit with all the same revelations we have, and they're like, oh my god, this is horrifying. And it's like, Saturday, I've had to read these revelations like 5 times and try to actually make sense of them. I had to put all of this stuff in a timeline. Like, you don't know what real pain's like. Anyways, I guess Saturday is like not feeling fear now. She's like, you know, I'm not scared anymore. I'm ready, or whatever that's. How did that go? I can't remember. Anyways, and that's the credit. No, I'm kidding. It's fake credits. We have another mod chart to do, and it's by Cree.exe, which is cool. He's a good artist. I like this stuff. Anyways, this mod chart, you know, finish that. One chart later, we're back with the storyteller, and the storyteller is like, this is a distress message. We need your help. So we're back at it again. Anyways, we cut to Saturday all gloomy and stuff, and oh, sorry, chapter 4. That's it. Sorry, time's up. We're gonna have to save that for another video. Anyways, on to like all the other stuff. Alright, I know we've finished, you know, we're done with all the other stuff, right? But there are still a couple things I wanted to touch on, and I think there are just criticisms of the game. I mean, they're not big, there's nothing huge. I'm not saying, oh, this game's awful, but there are just minor things that I think I just wanted to talk about. So, yeah. And I'm just going to talk about that. You know, one good example is, like, they're honestly just, like, sometimes the filler, I feel like, there is quite a bit of filler in this game, but at the same time, I feel like, you know, like, filler is important. We all need filler, but the thing is that, especially for a game like this, where it's a lot of heavy exposition and story and all these other things it's trying to set up, but sometimes I felt like there were times where I just didn't care, and I was just kind of like, this is very not, like, this doesn't matter that much, but of course, it's kind of like anime, I'm still gonna watch it anyways. I mean, I don't watch anime anymore, but, you know, I'm still gonna stick through around and just watch it. But sometimes I felt like there was just a little too much. Maybe I'm just going crazy. I might be going crazy. This might be only me, so yeah. Something I did have a problem with, though, is there is a lot of grinding that you would normally need to do to get a lot of these, like, story things. As I mentioned in my first video, unlocking stuff costs you these batteries, and in chapter 3 and 4, by the way, you need a ton to unlock the story. Of course, there is luckily a easy way to get around this, which is just basically cheat. If you go to accessibilities, you can make it so that you get a lot more rewards from beating songs, so yeah. If you're playing legit, though, yeah, that is gonna be tough. I also found the way that they introduce a lot of these complex subjects and topics and concepts to be extremely sudden and very harsh on the player. I mean, they don't expect you to stand it immediately, of course, but it still feels like you have to in the moment, and it's still just so much information that it almost feels overwhelming, and it is, I think, overwhelming. And, I mean, again, you don't have to understand it, but it was just so much for me. It felt like I was reading Valis all over again, just like a sudden slap in the face with a bunch of information. I mean, that's why I never finished the book Valis, but it was just like tons of concepts, tons of this, tons of that. It was like all over the place, and it was very hard for me to understand it, and I just feel like, maybe there could have been a way to better introduce these. I might be also, again, going crazy. I don't know if they're actually, it's very hard to introduce a lot of these concepts without kind of making the story not as strong, so I do understand that, but yeah, that's more like a me thing, but yeah. Another thing was that I kind of wish there was an easy way to take all the notes from the between space and just put them in one spot. Now, this could exist. This could actually exist, and I'm just stupid, but I don't know. But it could exist, so yeah. But if it doesn't, they should totally add that, because that would have made this a lot easier, because I had to go through like an hour of footage just trying to find all the notes and piece them together, and that was a pain in the ass, so yeah. Now, the last thing is kind of more like, this isn't even like a problem. This is just something I think that could have been a missed opportunity, and it was the fact that you have a trans and asexual character, which is like the perfect time to go into a lot of deeper meanings and not meanings, like talking more about identity and things like that. And for example, like, you know, Allison does this briefly. I mean, she does it like very, she's, you know, she talks about how she didn't feel right in society, and then that's about it, you know. And the only reason I really do bring this up is because, you know, Saturday being trans has only existed as like an insert, I think, for Cheryl, and Allison in general as a character, I think, is an insert of one of Cheryl's friends or maybe girlfriend or something, considering that Allison, because the thing is Allison's a real person. In the credits you can see them, so yeah. You know, and they really haven't gotten to explore a lot of really cool topics, and this is like the perfect game to do it. You know, it's already pretty heavy and questions a lot, and yeah, again, this is more so just like something that I think that they could have done. It would have made the game a little more complicated maybe, and have a lot of deeper things, but again, it wasn't necessary whatsoever. The game's great without it, so yeah, I just think, you know, you have a trans character, and it's like the perfect time to explore themes of identity and, you know, get a unique perspective on someone's life. You know, I feel a lot of dysphoria, anger, dysphoria. Anyways, that's it for that. On to talking about the Vivid Stasisers, whatever you guys are called. I don't know, the Vivid Stasers themselves. Hi guys. I know you guys probably skipped everything to be here, and that's fine. I literally can't blame you. I don't know how long this video is going to be. You know your story pretty well, so you don't need to read it, and I probably got a bunch of stuff wrong anyways. But you guys had quite a lot to say about my last video, and rightfully so. I wanted to address that. Thanks to my friends for helping me kind of write this out. So yeah, anyways, armed with a ukulele and a golden retriever, I'd like to say that I made a serious lapse in my judgment. No, I'm kidding. But I did make a lapse in my judgment when it came to talking about my band, actually. You see, in my head, I kind of saw this all as making fun of myself and getting to play the persona of a stupid idiot who is overconfident. However, I didn't play into it enough, and it ended up just making me sound like I was stupid. And that was a big oopsie, and I did sound stupid, but not in the way I wanted to. And in general, with regards to the band, that was just really an awful idea. Like, it was completely my fault in general, and I feel pretty bad for just randomly barging in and stuff, and just like drunk dad, like my team lost, you know, all that sort of stuff. And I also joked about how, like, you know, I was, you know, look at me now, you know, like, because I'm not a coward, you know, and I didn't really, like, I don't know, I just felt really bad because I just totally came off the wrong way. And then I just offended people further, and I just felt like awful for it. Yeah, that it just didn't sit well with me after I realized that I just totally messed up that part of the video, and then just made a bunch of people hate me more. So yeah, it was just not a good idea. And I'm really sorry for that. I also joked about how pinging Cheryl was like saying the N-word in the hood, and you know, I didn't mean, like, a lot of my comedy tends to be very exaggerated. I like to make a lot of stupid, crazy jokes that are totally like out there. But, you know, I did hear that like people were taking that more seriously, and I do kind of, I kind of meant to joke more, and I'm sorry for just not leaning all the way into the joke. I would like to just say in general, though, if you look at my other videos, I do just have a lot of comedy that whenever I talk, I tend to lean into jokes a lot. Yeah, you kind of just see that, you know. So, yeah, there was just, you know, things that just went wrong. Overall, I just messed up really badly, and I kind of just feel really bad after realizing I didn't communicate myself properly, and in general, I was just an asshole. You know, I really like to be a positive person, and I like spreading the love, but I'm gonna be straight, I was not spreading the love, and I'm sorry for that. You know, I really hope, you know, Vivid Stasis people, you guys forgive me. I mean, I'm not asking you guys to, like, unban me or anything, but, you know, just forgive me, because I just do feel bad. You know, I'm trying to be real because I didn't want to hide behind excuses. I easily could just say, like, this blah 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 blah, and you know, people do know about like that stuff, but I'm not even gonna bring it up to not put it in your heads. And I just wanted to say, like, yeah, I'm sorry, I was being dumb, and then I made it worse, and I am truly sorry. Also, Cheryl, you are probably most likely watching this video. You literally commented on my last one, which, yeah, that was also, oh, okay, yeah, also sorry for that if I came across completely different. I didn't know what was going on, and then I should have taken a moment to, like, be like, okay, let's not make this worse, and then I think I made it worse, because I also didn't have a full grasp on the situation. Okay, whatever. You should definitely clarify things I got wrong in this video, because Girly Pop, you are cooking too fast, and I'm struggling very hard to understand a lot of these moving parts. So please, you can DM me if you on my Discord. I guess you definitely know my Discord after all that. I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, or you can just go in the comments section. It's up to you. Okay, and that's the video. I hope you guys see you next time. Bye.